just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
It's a new day. Yes, it is. Welcome, everybody, to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, and I am joined by Meals. What's going on, Meals?
Everything's cool, man. Like, you know, just out here enjoying professional wrestling as it is for the last week or so.
Very, very contemptuous week in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, really, right? Like...
But I mean, there is one positive thing that came out this week, and that is the A Show channel is live. We are now reporting to you guys, no longer shackled by RNC Radio. No, I'm just playing. We have our own channel now.
That's one of those jokes that people are not going to feel like it's joke.
Yeah, they're going to be like,
Mark is going to hit us up like 20 minutes and we're just like an hour later. And
like, you don't like us, bro?
Yeah, something along those lines. Like, those are the jokes. I love RNC. We're still RNC to the fullest. We're just exploring a new channel for professional wrestling. I mean, quite honestly, the habits of people who don't love professional wrestling. I mean, so the habits I've always intersected with, especially with Two Belts, because with Two Belts, I used to do a lot of wrestling things. We used to do a lot of wrestling things before, and then we just stopped because it was either people were like, "Oh, you guys are a wrestling podcast," and never tuned in. Or people was like, where the hell's the more wrestling? I'd rather you guys talk about that. So there's the lines between like the culture, the hip hop culture, and everything that we kind of talk about on the other shows, even nerd culture and anything, and professional wrestling just never seemed to cross ever in life, ever.
Right.
So that's why, I mean, that's what it even seems like a great idea to, you know, just bring out this new channel. And so everyone, you know, we got all the wrestling content that you love right here and you're able to subscribe for it. And you get to be a full-fledged wrestling podcast without any of the other shows kind of, you know, intersecting. And, you know, even that, it gives us a chance to be more creative with the content. Like, I don't think we're just going to, you know, continue. We might bring more than just the A Show to this channel, quite honestly.
Yeah. Yes, we've already kind of soft announced it, but spot callers with myself and Cyrus will be on this channel. And I guess we could say like here, like we are actively looking for shows. We're looking for content for this new channel. We want to get more, you know, people of color on this network that have to talk about pro wrestling. And that is if it's like quick show recaps or things of that nature, like things that talk about Japan or European wrestling, UK wrestling. Like if that is your thing, you know, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at OGJohnny5 or at Meals TV, and you know, send us through a quick little demo or tell us what you guys are looking for, and we can get it started. Like we want the A Show to just be more than just a vessel for us. It's a vessel for what we've been trying to talk about since literally we started a year ago, and that is being a haven for everybody like us that love this business and love this, you know, the sport, as Tony Schiavone would say, and love to talk about it, you know? Right. We also have another announcement here. This is pretty exciting. This is our first episode of the new show, or on the new state, or the new channel, and we have our first like kind of big event happening next month. Meals, we have something that we're calling Mark Madness, the best of the decade tournament. We're going to be doing all March. We're going to announce our it's kind of like our March Madness thing, right?
It's pretty much like March Madness, except with a much better, much more marketable name for professional wrestling. So I'll give that all to you, because when you came up with it, it was pretty genius.
Hey man, you know, we're one brain.
I mean, we always in the business for creating more exciting content, especially when a lot of wrestling podcasts are kind of just like, they tend to follow in the same sort of formula and same sort of fashion. You kind of get these stories and you kind of get, recaps of various eras like that. No, we want to integrate yourselves into it and your thoughts into it. And we also want to produce amazing shows. Mark Madness Best of the Decade will be a 32 WWE Superstar tournament. That means WWE Superstars only. We flirted with the idea of maybe things outside. We figured it might be too, big or maybe too grand.
Way too big.
Right, way too bloated, a lot of different things. So maybe we'll come back to that another time. So we're going to go with the WWE Superstars. And considering that this decade is practically over, I mean, it's probably like 93% over. We want to recap, or we want to talk about, and we want to present who is, or at least settle the dispute of who is the superstar of the decade in WWE. And we have 32 superstars. We have not picked them yet, but I'm sure we will field 32 superstars. And on March 4th, Monday, March 4th, the entire, we will begin the first round. And the first round of voting will go to you guys. And, the first round of voting will be, you can follow us on RNC Radio Live to figure out how you can vote. But the first round will be given to you guys in terms of determining who gets out the first round, and even the second round as well. The second round. When we get down to those quarterfinals, the semifinals, the finals, we will have a special episode, possibly featuring a Brain Trust, possibly featuring us. We haven't figured out all the details yet, but we're looking into that to bring an amazing show. Mm-hmm. And we will determine who is the superstar of the decade. Yep. I'm interested because there's a lot of names out there.
It's going to be huge. And I really want to get everybody involved. I want everyone to kind of like, think about this is 10 years, it's 10 years. Like a lot of things have happened. That means that Punk is eligible. That means that Cena is eligible. AJ Styles is eligible.
AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, even, Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, potentially. I mean, Kevin Owens. I mean, we're just throwing these off the top of our head, but these are people. Brock Lesnar has been someone who's been in here almost practically the entire decade, way longer than we thought he had any right to be, honestly, in this decade. But, he's here. We have Daniel Bryan, whose entire run, the man rose to prominence, retired, and then came back from the dead, all in the same decade. It's really something that kind of just makes us take a look back at the 2010s, which are, it's kind of a weird decade, especially not just in, wrestling, but in pop culture, because how do we classify it? Do we classify the 90s? We classify the 2000s? 2010s are going to be something that we kind of have to get used to, especially heading into 2020 next year. But Mark Madness, is the tournament.
It's going down. It's going down. I think we have one more announcement, I guess, that we will be having Kazim, formerly of WWE, a friend of the show, will be joining the show next month as well.
Yes. I mean, major news. I mean, we talked about him on AEW Watch last week, but we
did. Maybe we can get the scoop on that.
Who knows? I mean, scoops galore, So we'll definitely talk about that. I know,
there's a lot of things people want to know. But he'll actually be on the Wrestle Rap podcast this weekend. Yes, he will. So I'm definitely going to have my ears glued to that. And I guess anything that Emilio doesn't ask or talk about, we'll scoop
which I find hard to believe, because he's pretty thorough in everything that he does. But
I told him to leave some for us.
Okay, good. All right. Well, leave some scoops for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
And I gotta shout out Kaz, because he dead ass said it. He said it straight to me. He's like, "There's no way that I was gonna give an interview to anyone else but Wrestle Rap in the A Show," and I appreciate that from him.
That's amazing. So you can look forward to that next month as well. And we're heading into WrestleMania season. Everything's looking grand. Everything's looking spectacular. Everything looking great.
Yep. So let's get right into No Holds Barred and our AEW watch for the week. Very funny AEW watch. It's getting real funny. I'll say that.
The fact that this has gone on for more than 2 weeks is just a testament to, like, one, us, two, to the wrestling business and the dire need for another place to work, apparently, that isn't Impact Wrestling. But listen, AEW Watch, still thriving, still amazing. Like, let's see how it goes.
So pretty much Ty Dillinger. I'll start off with, the top news of the week.
Top news, baby. Perfect news.
Ty Dillinger requests his release from the WWE. He announced it yesterday on Twitter, on the Notes app of all places. It's super lengthy. I don't even know if I read the whole thing. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. This comes after, we rumored it a couple weeks ago on AEW Watch, and it looks to be true. He is leaving. He requested his release on his birthday. So, that was super, I guess, meaningful for him, I suppose. Ty Dillinger, a guy who, keep it 100. Like, he wasn't a guy that I actually ever thought to be anything more than what he was. I know a lot of people called for him to be, this big guy on the main roster. He came out in the Royal Rumble at number 10. And
I couldn't tell you who are those people, but yes. People.
There are people online that really want Gavin Spears to be...
Damn, bro. Why you gotta bring up old news like that? Why you bringing up old stuff like that? Talking about Gavin Spears, baby. Come on. Well, listen. Listen. Ty Dillinger's WWE career has spanned, I guess, at least two different decades.
Different decades. He was there with Cody in
OVW, the mid 2000s. I actually remember that feud because him and Cody were tag team. They were OVW tag team champions. They eventually broke apart. Sean Spears ended up being like the heel of OVW, and he actually worked pretty well. But I think he worked because Cody was actually pretty good at his job. Yeah. First of all, I'm looking back at those. You look back at those tips. I'm wondering now, did Cody get a face job or a nose job?
He looks not only like he's like super ripped and on cycle, but also like he's been going to see Dr. Miami.
Oh yeah, his face is different. Something different about that. Either way,
the veneers and all that.
Ty Dillinger, he was eventually re-signed to the NXT brand, and he rose to prominence for his gimmick, the Perfect 10, which actually, got him a minor bump in terms of his career, and it's probably the highlight of his career thus far. That did not translate over to the main roster, and that it's kind of reason why he decided, listen, I want to request my release. He's following in the steps of what's our good friend, the former New Japan U.S. champion.
Former New Japan. Juice.
Oh,
Juice.
He is. Yes, Juice Robinson. He actually is New Japan U.S. champion, right?
Yeah, I believe he still is. He still is.
All right, well.
You're good. You're good, man. Yeah. You do watch New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Sorry, IWGP U.S. champion. Oh my God. Well,
that's all right.
I'll give myself a pat on the back. I'll give myself a pat on the back anyway. But yes, potentially following in his footsteps, and who knows where that's going.
It's cool. That's okay. If he goes to AEW, whatever. I don't think that like anything changes there. I think it's still the same essentially experience with him. I never saw him as anything more than a mid-card, a good hand. I listen, if he sees more for himself, more power to him. But again, like the way I felt about these guys leaving, fuck them. Like go, like go ahead and go. Like I feel nothing. I feel nothing.
Yeah, I don't really feel anything. Quite honest with you, I woke up and I was like, huh, okay. I can see it, yes, but whatever. Do your thing. I'm just saying.
Get whatever.
And she's still in. You know what? Let me.
Oh, let's save that. Let's save that. Okay. Let's save that. Next up, The Undertaker was announced for Starrcast this week. He's taking his first non-WWE booking. He will be doing a meet and greet signing, I believe, at Starrcast too. You know what? The Undertaker, I got no words for this guy. Pretty much, it's like I don't. Here's the thing. I'm not saying he's broke. But I know that is like, does he just need something to do?
He can't be broke. He's been wrestling for the last 30 years in the biggest company on earth. In biggest wrestling company on earth. There's no way that he can be broke.
What do you think he's like doing this for? Is it just because he wants to just do things on his own? Like he's got a booking info in his fucking. He's an IG. Did you see the Bad Bunny video he did today?
Well, yes, that was.
Hello, hey, Bad Bunny. I think you should do that last show in Puerto Rico. And then like,
yo, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Damn. All right, I got spooked for a second.
Bad Bunny.
all right. Don't cut it out. I'm spooked.
Bad Bunny.
But the Undertaker, yes. Why do I think he's doing it? Everybody does it, I think.
Getting hustled. Conrad and them getting hustled. They could
the bag is big enough.
They could have just flew us out. Just gave us a room and a flight. We would have been straight.
I mean,
you know what? You know what's funny?
That's not happening.
You know what's funny? Conrad said, right, a couple weeks ago, Conrad was like, yo, and I purposely, you know this, I purposely didn't say anything on the show or on Twitter. I purposely didn't say anything. But I gotta say it now. Conrad was like, yo, what's one thing, what's one group of people or a podcast I'm not really, I haven't announced yet. They haven't been on StarCast 2. I'm trying to make sure everybody's represented. How many people in that thread say A Show? Mad people in that thread say A Show.
Even had the big Kaz himself.
Kaz said A Show when he was still at WWE. Kaz said A Show.
Listen.
Greg, stat guy Greg said A Show. Mad people said A Show. I ain't get no DM.
I ain't get no DM, baby. Come on. I ain't get no DM for sure.
You invite an Undertaker. But you paying him whatever. Like all we saying is like, yo, can you just extending it? Like say, yo, we got a spot for you if you can come out. You feel me? Like, just you ain't even say nothing.
The Undertaker is just, how do you feel? This happened essentially. The news broke literally the day we posted the podcast, so we weren't able to hop on it. But how do you feel like Vince McMahon feels about this?
He should feel betrayed. I don't think there's anybody in this fucking world that would could side with this whole shit. If they siding with it, they're a hoe.
Especially on the heels of Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
AEW bound, all his superstars. Well, not all his superstars, but the ones who want to leave, at least being like, maybe AEW is throwing the bag at me in a different light, different manner. I mean, there's been conversations now of him, WWE trying to renegotiate Dean Ambrose so he potentially doesn't go to AEW. There's, the Usos contract still up in the air, a lot of different things. Like, yeah,
cool. But here's the thing, like, Vince should totally feel he's completely justified. Like, he made this guy. And the thing is, it's like, even the optics is all wrong. Like, I could see if it was WrestleCon. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This ain't just no WrestleCon. Like, this is StarCast. You know what this is. You know what you're doing. That's some hoe shit. Like, it's the Miller. Like, even through the Attitude Era, all that other shit, they held him down, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's some hoe shit. Like, that shit makes me look at Undertaker a little bit different. Like, even if it was just about the streak, that was what, like 5-6 years ago at this point? Like, come on, bro. Like, that shit to me just ain't, it's not 100. I don't know all the story. I'm going to admit to say that. But like, at the end of the day, from what it looks like to me, it's like, yo, you made all of your bread at this one company. They looked out for you. They put you over at people for 21 years.
Right.
Free. They put you over people at the biggest show of the year, 20 years in a row, whatever, 20 years in a row. Come on, man. Come on, G. Like, that's not right.
I will feel more betrayed if he ended up showing up at like Double or Nothing. In terms of just StarCast, I don't know.
It's the optics, though. It's the optics.
I understand. Yeah. It is definitely the optics, yeah. It's
like there's an AEW shit right slap because they
know what they're doing, even though they're saying that the two aren't affiliated, but they are. Like, they are though.
Invite some real ones.
They are affiliated.
Fuck that.
They're like, StarCast isn't an AEW event. Well, the only two times StarCast has happened is at AEW events. So to say that they're not really affiliated with one another and, is kind of, trying to float around these certain words. But yeah, I could see it. The Undertaker, the optics of it all, it just doesn't seem right. But, old man got to get that bag, bro. You got bad hips.
What does he need? What does he need?
His hip don't work. They
let him beat John Cena in 3 seconds last year.
His hip don't work. Bro. His hip don't work. Man, what you want him to do?
That's some whole shit. Bad Bunny.
Oh God.
Rikishi went on Instagram after Elimination Chamber last weekend and commented on the Usos status, saying hashtag free agents or not, with a really lengthy. He's too old to be leaving a Instagram comment that goddamn long.
First of all, he too old to be, he not even in
business.
Get in their business. Mind your business, old man. Come on, talk about that. Come on, talk about yourself. What you up to? Are you a free agent? What are we doing here? Come on, mind your business. That's what I'm pretty sure they said. Daddy, you could chill, Daddy. Come on, relax. We got this.
Like way too hype. He way too hype. Like
you better back up.
Hey, Oos, hey.
Better back up. Listen,
Bad Bunny.
We got to talk about the news. That also reported literally after we put out the show is that the Usos got in a little altercation with the feds. Listen, apparently Naomi was driving the wrong way down a one-way street. I don't know where she was at. I don't know what she was doing. But she wasn't driving on the right side of the street. And, cops, apparently what the cops did is they pull over and they got into an altercation. You know what Jimmy Uso did? He hashtag squared up, baby.
He squared up. He said, hey, police, back up.
You better back up, baby. Listen. And then after Elimination Chamber, dropping the impassioned promo. The promo of the century. It's almost my brother's keeper. Almost, man. This was practically playing in the background. I'm gonna show you what was playing in the background.
Wow.
This was playing in the background. You know what the time?
Hey, Oos, you know what it is, Oos. We out here. We still here, Oos. I might have been a little twisted.
Listen, they had that Roddy Ricch playing, blasting all weekend, man. They knew what time it was. They said down below, man. Came from the bottom, down below. That's what the Usos said. That's what the Usos telling them.
6-time champions.
6-time champions. They try to keep us down. They try to talk all the mess about us, but guess what? We here. And that's what the Uso does. They arrive. They show up. They do the thing, man. It was very impassioned. Shoot, man.
It might have been a little real. Might have been too real.
It's too real. You could tell the emotions was real. You got to watch that promo. Watch it. It's on WWE YouTube page.
I've been meaning to watch it.
I'm sure it's on the website. I'm sure it's on everything. You got to watch that promo because that promo is passion. That promo is real. That promo is, you can see everything sort of all together. And the fact that they still came out on top, it's like, how can you root against the Usos? I bought the shirt off that promo.
Wow.
I bought the shirt. The shirt was hard. The shirt is hard. I bought the shirt. I'm about the shirt. Yeah, so it is what it is.
Speaking of Elimination Chamber, how'd you feel about the show on Sunday?
Oof, okay, well,
it was an up and down show to me.
It was everything that we thought it would be.
Yeah, no real surprises.
No thrills, no shrills, no frills. It was top to bottom, everything that we wanted it to be, or that we thought it would be, quite honestly. The only match that truly exceeded expectations to me, Buddy Murphy, Akira Tozawa. I thought that match was incredible.
It was a really great match. They rarely miss. Buddy Murphy rarely misses.
I thought it was Buddy Murphy's. Quite honestly, I thought it was one of his best matches that I've seen on the. And he's had these great matches with Mustafa Ali, but I thought this was one of the best matches he's ever seen.
Yeah.
To me, he seemed to be like really cooking and really in his element and really sort of coming in his own. And he's as good as as promoted. He's the champion. He is what he is. So shout out to Buddy Murphy.
I think, again, like I said, up and down show. As far as like matches to keep, I would keep the women's elimination chamber. It was a little sloppy, but it brought itself back at the end. I thought a really, really good moment. The right team won. Obviously, Sasha and Bayley are the first women's tag team champions. Really enjoyed like the men's elimination chamber. To me was match of the night. Obviously, incredible match. Those are the two that I would have kept. If you really want to see Finn Balor win the IC title, you can watch that. It's a really short match, really good match. But like other than that, like a lot of it you can kind of like toss. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Usos winning SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I'm not mad at it. Finn Balor finally winning the big one after Sam Roberts had the gall to come out whatever his mouth is, whatever that face is, had the gall to speak sideways about Finn Balor, about how he can, win the big one. And he's been known for that a couple of times now. Like he's been, it is what it is. But he said that Finn Balor, unless he throws on the paint, can't win the big one. Well, guess what?
He did it.
Finn Balor's here. He's new Intercontinental Champion.
Then he told him in an interview backstage that he has a face for radio, so maybe he should stay there. And I said, wow.
Talk about it.
Turn all of that up, Finn. Turn it up.
I hope he orders Uber Eats because he's not allowed in catering after that. I'll tell you that. I hope his Uber Eats still works, baby. Come on.
That was Elimination Chamber. More on No Holds Barred. DX was announced for the WWE Hall of Fame, including China this time around. They're the first, and I'm guessing they're going to be the main events of this Hall of Fame this year in New York. A lot of people feel one way about the China thing. They feel another way about the China thing. Here's my thoughts on the China thing.
Talk about it.
Her mother came out and said this week that she's ecstatic that China is going to be in the Hall of Fame. That is the only opinion I care about. Anyone else, fuck off. Her mother wants it. Her mother's cool with it. They cleared it. She's going into the Hall of Fame. That should be the only conversation we have. This is a literal mark Hall of Fame. It does not matter at the end of the day.
Well, guess what? Oh, sorry, phone. Here's how I feel about the situation. I'm very happy China's in the Hall of Fame. I'm very happy her mother's ecstatic that she's in the Hall of Fame. Whether she's in the Hall of Fame for herself or, not now. She's in the Hall of Fame at this point. However, was it WWE's mistake for, not including her sooner? Hell yes. Was it WWE's mistake for practically, ignoring her for 15 years before she died? Yes, it's 100% their mistake. And I hope at least one person at least will publicly own up to it, that was a major mistake, especially now that they're promoting the women's evolution and all this other things. But I haven't seen before the women's evolution, before China died, I never saw a China clip fly across that screen at all. And she's had great moments, and she's had a great career. And, that's kind of my only gripe with this entire thing. But I'm very glad that she's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad she's being recognized with D-Generation X, because that's an iconic group right there. And China was really, when you talk about, the beginning of DX and kind of the flavor, that sort of extra spice, that sort of extra, oomph that was brought to it, just China and her presence alone, and just her she's one of a kind, ninth wonder of the world. She helped propel DX to Shawn Michaels and Triple H era. And then even, afterwards, where you talk about DX 2000 with the Billy Guns, Road Dogg, X-Pac,
and
all this.
I think that a lot of times Triple H himself, who I think honestly, him and Stephanie were, I really feel as though it was them too, being the reason why it wasn't really but
they talked about pornography and things like that. That people Google it, and it's just come on, bro,
unnecessary.
Look at what you got. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. But we're here now.
But here's about even without what her mother said, it's a great moment. They did stick their foot in their mouths, but you know what? If this is a step towards correcting that and righting that wrong and having her be there, I mean, even putting her in the games again, small shit like that matters. It matters.
100%.
I'm very glad that it's happening this way. Next up, the Carmella and Corey Graves situation. Do you want to talk about this, or do you want to just keep?
Well, little messy meals action. Let's talk about it.
I'll set it up and you knock them down on Saturday, I believe, early Saturday in LA at least. Corey Graves' now ex-wife or soon to be ex-wife, posted a picture on her Instagram, basically saying she felt betrayed and that her husband was cheating on her, or had been cheating on her, with her daughter's favorite wrestler, Carmella. Of course, this sent shockwaves. Of course, this sent shockwaves through the wrestling community. A lot of fingers were pointed unfairly at certain people. Messy situation. She posted text of Corey saying that he he wanted to kill himself and stuff like that. It kind of went beyond what it should have, become. And very bad situation. I think Carmella just really, it's kind of like her second time in like a really like contemptuous situation like this, right?
I mean, at the big cast thing, the big cast situation. Is that what we're referencing?
Yes.
The big cast situation. But she moved on. You know what? Part of me is like, if you're moving on from a relationship and you're moving on from, marriage and all that type of things like that, I think you can definitely see other people, especially when both of you have considered that this is it, this is kaput. And, I'm assuming they've had issues in terms of just their marriage for quite some time, and maybe they both had decided to separate. I don't know.
Right.
But this entire situation was messy. I mean, it was talk about it. It was, the entire timeline talking about it.
Here's my thing with Corey Graves. It was really like obvious that there was something going on with this guy personally. But it's also like people were acting like the wrestling business is this clean, squeaky clean, wholesome ass industry where people don't have sex with each other and people don't do this type of shit all the time. There was a video that everyone was crowding around where Xavier Woods and Paige were doing something real bad.
We're doing something bad. Shout out to Brad Maddox.
To the NXT women's title.
No, don't put Xavier in that. That was Brad Maddox and Paige.
Well, okay, all right. But he was in some of those videos. It's come on. It's messy. It's a messy situation, but stop acting like, do not point your fingers at Carmella and shit like that. Like, come on.
Pro wrestling is I don't want to call it an incestuous family, but it's the same. It's one of those things where it's like these are the only kind of people who understand the life you live. So largely, you're only really around those people, and there are a lot of relationships in professional wrestling. I mean, you got the Buddy Murphy, Alexa Bliss. You talk about Ty Dillinger and Payne Royce. Now we're hearing about Zelina and Aleister Black getting married and things like that. There are some bumblings and rumblings around Charlotte and Andrade. Like it's a real business that, a lot of people fall in love that type of way. You're around these people all the time.
Yeah.
But this situation, just from the text and the public and everything like that, I'm interested in sort of how Carmella took it. I'm sure Carmella was like, you better fix that because you better fix it. I don't care how. I don't care what you do.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
I got a tag team championship match tomorrow. You better fix it. Fix it. Make it go away. And I'm sure with him, he don't want to be put on blast to be, as scummy as he looks or something like that.
It's scummy. You got. But the thing is, from what I believe, Pro Wrestling Sheet reported that they had already been going through the steps of separation, and of course, when you're getting a divorce, you have to be separated for a full year. So it looks as though that had already been happening. And what set her off was him telling her that he was seeing someone else. I don't know in what context he was saying it in. I don't know if it was like, "Ha ha, I'm seeing someone else," or saying, we can't have this conversation. I'm seeing someone. But that's what set her off. I think a lot of people were thinking of it like he was doing it while they were married.
Right.
There's a lot of speculation there, but it's like
a little Bray Wyatt action.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to be, and I'm not speaking for it. It doesn't seem to be the case here. So I'm not getting too much deeper into the fiasco than that. But I just hope the best and pray for the kids. That's what I care about. Pray for the kids.
Can I make one note? I want to run back to the Uso story for a second in terms of just one note. Shout out to whatever publication. I forget the publication who said that the Usos got arrested so they could get fired to go to AEW. That has to be the dumbest. And this is why people don't, respect pro wrestling media and pro wrestling journalism and all this other stuff like that. And that's why people think, AEW news is all co-opted and AEW news is kind of where you come up with a literal dumb, the dumbest excuse why people would get arrested and risk their own lives and well-being so they could get fired and lose their job and their money so they can get hired by another company. That is dumb.
So Cody can be like, damn, you didn't have to do all that.
Right. So come on, man. Like, come on. I kind of want to find the tweet again, because I was pretty mad about that. That was the dumbest explanation I've ever seen in my life. But, that type of publication, that type of news outlet don't need
It's poisonous. Really, wrestling, the discourse this year alone, and we called it, like, even on the first of, when they announced AEW, like it's poisonous. It's very, very bad, and it's being unchecked. It's like worse than like CNN being called fake news. Like, this is literally it's going unchecked because there is nothing, like, this isn't being reported on ESPN, right, or even CNN or anything else like that. But like, it's literally insane that like no one checks Meltzer or Satin or anybody like this. Like, no one checks them. It's people journalism. It's literally people journalism. It's how it should be, kind of, but it's also bad because this is like the bad side of it. It's like you can easily be co-opted.
It was, I'll say this, it was Ringside News. So Ringside News, I hate you, because I don't know who you hired to do this, but that was the dumbest thing. And that was so stupid.
Yeah, very stupid. One more thing on No Holds Barred before we.
Oh, it was Fox News that reported it too. Oh, turn that down. All right, whatever.
Chris Hemsworth is being looked at, or I guess he signed on. Yes, he signed on to play Hulk Hogan in a Netflix biography that is set to start filming very soon.
Hulk Hogan thought he was, because Chris Hemsworth, Hulk Hogan. I don't see it. I
don't know why this movie has to be made.
Yeah, why do we need a biopic for Hulk Hogan? Quite honestly, what was done? I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. One of the most recognizable names in professional wrestling history, still. But
yeah, but it's like you got to talk about the bad, and I'm not just talking about the steroid trial. Like, you got to do all of it.
Steroid trial, sex tape, racism.
Yeah, all of it, all of that within years.
Thunder in Paradise. You got to talk about all the bad, baby. Come on. Like, it'll be
bad. It's all bad. We'll see. But I mean, this is hot off the heels of there being an actual Vince McMahon movie being made where there could be another Hulk Hogan recasted. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this leads to.
Hasn't that been in production for like a long ass time now?
I hear it's going to happen. Like, it's really going to happen. I don't know if Bradley Cooper's going to be the guy to be Vince, but I think that it will happen.
Interesting. Okay.
Let's run into Raw and SmackDown. Very huge shows. Like, I feel like we got two like night after Mania-esque shows with really good matches on them.
You couldn't tell the crowd on Monday night that. Ugh.
Oh man, this Raw is going to be very rough to get through. Let's kind of speed through this one. This week was a very large change in the way that the main roster does things. We had NXT call-ups as of January, which was EC3, Heavy Machinery, Lars Sullivan was supposed to be part of it, Nikki Cross and Lacey Evans, right? So they've been integrated in their own little ways throughout the main roster, whether you like it or don't like it, whatever, they're there. Intermittently, I think Heavy Machinery right now looks the best to me as far as being on TV every damn week. I mean, EC3 can barely get on TV. Like, they put Heavy Machinery in everything.
EC3 is a mute for some reason, and that's just.
But we called this. We said these guys would be. They seem like auxiliary players. They seem like mid-carders. They got called up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
None of them seemed like they were gonna be
big time players. Main event stars.
Other than
bound for championships.
Other than what they're rumored, to be doing with Lacey, which is, someone says she's the Roman. They're gonna make her the Roman Reigns of the division, which I'm like, in the same division as
Big Charlotte. Big Charlotte. You talking about that? You talking about
Charlotte gonna hit the 6ix9ine? Stupid! You're not even gonna get the chance.
Oh my god!
But these call ups to me are literally. They feel like, remember when Finn was announced, when Finn was like debuted, and he walked out and he flexed the jacket, and everybody behind him was like, "Oh shit!"
Shout out to my man Tuck, who's like, when like Woody sees Buzz Lightyear for the first time. That's legitimately how it was. It was. That guy looks important, is what everyone's face said.
That's what these call-ups were on Monday and Tuesday. Where it was like, these are the shiny new guys that are going to be in the upper card immediately.
They preempted the news. They put it on the Twitter. They put it on the website. Like, listen, these four NXT guys are backstage yucking it up with people on Monday night. Like, it made you want to tune in. And people did, quite honestly.
And they did. The highest rated Raw in 5 months.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. I think this bodes very well for those 4 guys. Let's kind of run through our thoughts on their portrayal of Raw. Raw was very, very much their show. I think we can agree on that. It was it was all about the call-ups on Raw on Monday. Let's kind of give our thoughts on their portrayal. First up, Finn and Ricochet. They did have a tag match between Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Finn, hot off of the IC title win, comes out. He gets rushed by, no pun intended, by Bobby and Finn, or Bobby and Leo. And Ricochet and Finn have a banger of a match. It went to like 3 segments. It was like a 3-segment match.
I mean, when you talk about just introducing him and putting him next to Finn Balor, who's the new Intercontinental Champion, is just genius at this point because everyone wants to see Finn. Everyone wants to cheer for Finn. Putting Ricochet in that sort of, avenue to sort of showcase himself, especially against a guy like Lio Rush and even more impressive against a guy like Bobby Lashley. The way he came out, Ricochet, out of all these call-ups, to me, and I'm even talking about even with Aleister Black, has the most upside, potentially. He just, to me, everywhere that he's gone, he's been the star of the show. He's been the attraction. He's been his acrobatics is one of a kind. His moves are one of a kind. Even if and people are like, listen, we got to hear him talk on the mic before. His presence alone draws people to him.
The mic shit don't matter.
Yeah,
mic shit doesn't matter.
He's got it.
The mic shit doesn't matter. Rey Mysterio's never been a great talker.
Yeah, Rey Mysterio has it. That's the difference. That's the difference between people. You want everyone to be The Rock. You want everyone to be, Triple H or something like that.
I'd honestly argue that, like, I feel like Ricochet and Aleister kind of got Ricochet got a little bit over Aleister on Raw with that crowd. Like, as far as the reaction, I still think Aleister got a good reaction. I feel like and we'll get to that in a second, they put him with the wrong guy.
I think Aleister was put with the wrong guy, definitely. And in the wrong slot of the show, quite honestly.
Yeah. So another theme of the show, Ricochet pinned Lio Rush. So he pinned the main roster guy. So you're automatically putting them there where it's like, okay, they're important. They can run. They're not developmental guys.
Right.
They're somebody. So really cool moment there. Then you had DIY versus the Revival, the fucking tag team champions. My thoughts on DIY being on these shows, like, I think that you look at Ricochet, larger than life. Aleister, even with his entrance, even before, like, with his look, period, larger than life.
Yes.
I feel like DIY, Gargano, and Ciampa have a very long road. I think I've always felt this way. I think even worse than that is the fact that they are playing their characters in NXT and they have their characters from NXT on the main roster right now. So when you have Ciampa come out clearly as a heel and Gargano come out clearly as a face, it's very jarring. There's a dissonance there that I feel like would be tough for a lot of people who haven't seen them before, which is the case on Monday, to be very, very confused by them. So that happened. When that happens, you had the match with the Revival, and it kind of wasn't hot for a while, even though it was a really good match. They didn't get into it until like the last 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it had to do with that. And I mean, I'm going to keep it 100. Like, they're very small. Like, they're very tiny guys.
Oh, yeah, they're tiny.
And
on SmackDown, they're tiny. Like,
and I thought they worked hard. But my thing is, like, on the main roster, I don't even feel like, you look at guys like Finn, like, Finn doesn't work hard. He's got it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, he just got that look. They're going to have to work really hard to get over. But, they did beat the Revival, which I'm surprised they were able to do because, I mean, they just won the titles last week. They beat the Revival on their first night on Raw. What did you think about DIY?
I thought DIY, just the entire thing is confusing based on their story in NXT and how it kind of ignores all of that. And maybe not so ignore it, but it's trying to, like, it warps the storytelling that we had a little bit on the show. And we're taping this episode now, and I've seen the end of the tapings, and, I think they course corrected everything. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But, how they looked per se, I thought, I thought the crowd really hurt them because I thought
the crowd hurt everyone on Monday.
Yeah, I thought if it was against anyone else, they would look like a star. But in their sort of appearance, it looks like they were fighting for a reaction from a crowd. And to be honest with you, if you have to showcase them against anybody, I mean, the Revival, they're it, right? You're not putting them against the B team, or you're not putting them against anybody else. You're putting them against the Revival.
And here's my thing: you're not putting them against them because like you don't see DIY realistically like squashing anybody. Like. You could see that in a certain way, Ricochet. You could see some squashing someone. You could see Aleister Black for sure squashing someone, and I felt as though he should have. But it's just a weird situation that they got put in there on Monday. And I'd say that they were my lead. Well, on Monday they were like my second favorite of the debuts. I'll say that much.
I feel like they should not be on the show until whatever they have. I don't think both of them should be on the show until whatever they have is finished, because it's just throwing everything off so crazy. And especially when you look at these, I mean, you look at these tapings. I mean, the tapings look good, but I don't think they should just be featured until everything. Ricochet and Aleister Black, they don't have as much going on. So I think they can be featured, and I think we should sort of move forward with that. But in terms of just like, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, I don't think they should be featured. I think by the time it comes to the shakeup, then we decide what we want to do, and both should be on separate shows.
You see what they did with KO and Sammy. Hopefully,
yeah.
I really just in the past 2 days of them being on the show, I see them as tag guys, and I think they need to be babyface tag team.
Same. I mean, same. But it kind of goes against everything that's happened for the last 18 months in NXT. Like, it goes again, and we're not supposed to, but when you bring the NXT championship into the picture, and when you bring the North American championship, and how much of their story is intertwined within those championship belts, it kind of makes you can't just sit there and have the hard reset. Maybe if you're a casual fan and you don't watch NXT and you're just like, those guys must be important. Maybe that's what they're anticipating. But I think they need to give the fans a little bit more credit and have them invest in the NXT product by going back and looking at these things, because you get the full depth of character. And I feel like, quite honestly, on their main roster, they're just restarting.
Yeah, for sure.
It's restarting, and you might as well make them faces if you're going to keep them together at this point. But it just looks so weird and looks so not right, and I just think they shouldn't be on the main roster. But, far be it from me to stop them being on Monday Night Raw or Friday, Tuesday Night SmackDown. Like, this shit it's a dream, and they made it.
Yeah,
I mean, be on 205.
It's still surreal. I think Humberto and people like that will be, but I think that I think you're wasting a lot if you don't put Johnny Gargano on the main roster, just as far as him as a face. Aleister Black faced Elias. I think they whiffed on him on the first night. They didn't get his camera work right. They didn't catch, like, Michael Cole called him dark and moody, which is like almost felt like a joke. In the promo they had him cut before the Elias match started was terrible. I was like, what? Whoever wrote Aleister that night was just all bad. And then I usually have a problem with people going 50-50, but they're also, I understand with the story they were trying to tell with the call-ups, where it was like they're unlikely guys that are coming from a place where people think they're developmental. So it's good for them to work from under and eventually win. I get that story. Elias is not the guy that does that.
No.
It should have been like I wouldn't even say Kurt Hawkins, because that's who he should. Like, I honestly feel like of all these matches, Aleister should have been in the squash if he was going to have a competitive match the next night.
Yeah, I think so. 100%, quite honestly.
They whiffed. They whiffed on him on Monday. I think they did him no favors on Monday that really kind of made him look cool at all. Like, other than the entrance. I mean, he won, of course. They all won, but I don't think it made him look any good.
Yeah.
But I think on Monday, before we get SmackDown, like Monday, Ricochet, he won the night on Monday. Braun Strowman, man.
I don't even want to talk about him. We don't got to talk about him. It's just Braun. It's just Braun and Baron. We don't got to talk about him. We don't got to talk about him.
his stock has fallen very, very. He's selling injuries, Meals.
I mean, listen, every big man has his day. The Undertaker was Undertaker for as long as he was, and Kane was Kane, and Big Show was Big Show until they could not. You can't just be the big monster anymore. The multi-dimensional character has to kick in, and as a face, he has to, he has to come from underneath, and he has to show a little bit of vulnerability, and this is kind of what it is. But at the same time, it's just this is such a low stock feud with this Baron Corbin that has gone on for so long. But it's like, who else do you put him against, honestly? Unless you turn him heel, which they should. Which they shouldn't have. The only reason that it happened was because of Roman Reigns. Oh, is someone the car again broken into?
Brooklyn.
But yeah, because of the Brock Lesnar thing, and then they didn't even give him the match with Brock. So it's kind of like,
I wouldn't make him a heel again, man. I wouldn't make him a heel again because it's like he's gonna have to start getting beat by the smaller guys that they're pushing.
He's going to. It's not right if they make him heel again. I don't know. It is. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, sure. These things kind of are cyclical. I think they can heat them up. They can heat them up whenever. But my thing is, I don't think that the magic that they had with him last year is there anymore. It's gone. It's definitely gone. But this show was literally killed by this crowd all night. I felt as though they were in like a bingo hall, and a lot of people pointed out to me a bingo hall would probably be louder than this, and they're correct.
Oh yeah, it'd be a little raucous, baby. It's better. I'm winning.
They didn't even care about Ronda Rousey at the end of the show. What a weird positioning for Ronda at the end of the show. There, no prior promos or anything. Just comes out cold against Ruby Riott. She had squashed Ruby the night before. Then they decided to give her a 10-minute match with Ruby that next night. Whatever, I guess. Are you ready to just see her just like do something else?
I think they're gonna have her on stall mode. I mean, there's a Ruby Riott thing. She just looks like Ruby Riott now looks like a jobber to the stars. Like she's just. They build it up so they could just knock her down. I think it's quite honestly after this superstar shakeup, they need to split up the Riot Squad because
I think they do too.
It's just becoming detrimental, and now it's just becoming. It's actually holding them back instead of advancing them, which is kind of crazy to think.
I want Ruby to be a face because I think she's way better as a face.
I think so too. Just the Ronda thing. She got her ass kicked the night before.
Got her ass kicked again.
Yeah.
No Becky. I'm pretty sure they're keeping her off TV. I'm pretty sure the Fastlane thing is going to happen. And I think that the Ric Flair thing in Atlanta will either set it up. And if they don't set it up there, Tuesday night, they're going to be in Charlotte. So it's going to be set up. Yeah, it's going to be set up at one of those points. We are, 1 week away from Fastlane? 2 weeks away from Fastlane, so it's gonna happen sooner than later.
This car alarm is blowing mine, but
what is someone trying to like break in, or is somebody?
No, it's just I don't know.
Wow. It's New York.
Listen, a few moments I did like the little. You like Dean Ambrose is now a face and kind of just like slumming it and just.
Yeah, I think that Dean Ambrose as a face as the goofy face. Like for someone who said they don't like hokey shit, he seems to thrive in it and do very well. He thrives in hokey shit. Like I like him way better here as I did as like the weird heel that he was for the past couple of months. I mean, him losing to Drew McIntyre in like 2 minutes, whatever. If he's not coming back, then that's where he should be slotted. Very concerned about Drew McIntyre, though. I think we should have a conversation about this guy in a couple weeks as well.
We might have to revisit that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very concerned about this guy.
Let's see. Yeah, but that was
pretty much Raw.
Yeah, I didn't have much other thoughts beside that. Kevin Owens coming back. Looking forward to that.
Sasha and Bailey cut a very awkward promo.
Yeah. And then Nia Jackson, Tamina. Yeah, man.
Yeah. On the SmackDown, way better. Go ahead.
I don't know if I want to spoil this thing.
What's that?
About the women's tag team titles?
They're going to show up on NXT.
I mean, to me, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something. I don't know what it's going to lead to, but they will be showing up on NXT.
Seems like no work, no pay, but yeah.
Sasha and Bailey do show up. That's one spoiler that I feel like people were waiting for, and you will have to wait around 4 weeks. You wait around a month, and they'll show up. They'll be on NXT, and you'll get to find out what exactly is going to happen there. But yes, they are going to be defending it in all brands. So that's cool.
Man, they invented imagine on Takeover and then WrestleMania. Ugh.
Sasha can't take a month off after Takeover.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's go on to SmackDown, which I thought was probably my favorite SmackDown of the year so far. I'll say that.
It had a nice energy to it, didn't
it? Once again, the show was built around the NXT invasion, so to speak. So on this night, you had Black coming out first against Andrade. They had a slobber knocker of a match. I fucking enjoyed this match. They had a 10-minute sprint between Black and Andrade. They were very familiar with each other. You could tell from the match.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very good match. I think that they got everything right about him on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
Right down to commentary. Even when
these are guys who have commentated for Black before.
Yes.
These are NXT guys. These aren't, Renee and Michael trying to figure out what he looks based on his tattoos. All they were talking about Monday Night Raw is like his tattoos say that he's dark, and it's just like, relax, come on.
Absolutely, I think that even from his entrance to when he stops at the ramp and looks left and looks right, they got that perfect. Even when he flips down, all of the angles were correct on Tuesday, and I hope if he's going to show up weekly now, that they get this right on Raw as well, because presentation is very important. And Alistair is, I'd say, 50% presentation and 50% matches, and that's why I'm such a fan of his, because his presentation to me always works, and he's very, very this is a guy that doesn't smile. He's very in character the whole time, and that's why I've always said and don't kill me for this. If they're gonna miss Taker and they're not gonna have Taker anymore, he could fulfill that wild character that they need on the main roster, where it's like this dark, ominous character. You always need that. TNA had Abyss, and shit like that. Like they've always needed.
WWE has Abyss, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, the Abyss is working backstage now. But I think Alistair's presentation is important, and I think putting him against someone, if you're not going to put him in a squash, put him against someone that it would make sense that he's going 50-50 against, is someone who knows him.
Yeah,
that's why I honestly think Alistair should stay on SmackDown.
I mean, I wanted to talk about that. Who do you think should go where?
You want to talk about it after we run through their second night?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
We had DIY versus The Bar in a very scary match. Ciampa and Sheamus almost injured each other in this match.
I mean, well, listen, things go wrong. I can't say it looked very. The match didn't look as crisp as it should have, but I mean, I thought it was still a good match. I mean, albeit near injury moments aside, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was these small guys against these large bullies, and that's kind of what DIY is kind of should be personified as, right? Like these guys that people they don't take seriously because they're so small and they're so tiny, but at the end of the day, that these guys are technically sound and they can wrestle, and they're really, really good at what they do, and they're really, really good at being the underdogs, quite frankly. Underestimate them if you will, but DIY knows how to win, and that's really, I think, what they should be characterized. But just the NXT baggage itself doesn't lend itself to the main roster and kind of believing that. But I thought it was a good match. But it looked like Tommaso Ciampa injured his knee. It looks like Sheamus almost injured his back. Like it's.
No, I was like, what the hell happened here? And the thing is, Ciampa, you shouldn't have been trying to do that shit. What was you doing?
I mean, I'm sure he's done it before. Like, come on, give him. He's a veteran. Like, just things go wrong. If it messes up another time, then I say all right, that's kind of scary. But yeah, I mean, he's done it before.
Well, they seem fine, so that's good. So next up, we had Ricochet versus Eric Young in the kind of like the same position that Alistair was in on Monday, where it was just like, I thought that the match was competent, it was sound, but it was still like, this isn't a guy that should be working with Ricochet.
Yo, I found out, I for the love of God in me, I've spaced out on Eric Young's stable's name.
Sanity.
Sanity. There we go. I couldn't remember it for nothing, man. And I like those guys. It's kind of weird because as like non-threatening as they are on the main roster, I think they're talented, and I think they have something to bring in terms of just they're not the same tag team that there is on every other show. They move with a sort of bit of a chaos and all this other stuff. I actually do kind of like what they offer, but just in terms of this Ricochet match, I mean, it was what it was.
It was what it was.
They needed a body, and Ty Dillinger quit. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's what should have been a squash. But I feel like they're trying to get the chummy relationship with Finn on Raw there, and Ricochet does things with Sanity here or something like that. I feel like they're gonna have like weird storylines, and it makes it weird because they're the only ones that are allowed to jump brands when no one else can.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's weird.
The NXT guys still haven't figured it out yet, but it is what it is.
But as far as where they should go, I'll give my thoughts here. Black should stay on SmackDown. I think that just looks good for it. He's a spectacle, and the way that Nakamura and Asuka are, where he can literally cut that promo with some smoke behind him, and he'll be fine. He doesn't need to be on the show every week. And SmackDown's always been good with those types of characters, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like DIY, if they're going to stay as tag teams, they need to go to Raw. If they're going to break them up, Ciampa should go to SmackDown and Gargano should go to Raw.
Oof.
Yeah, I know. Big. People are going to hate that. But I feel like Raw's always missing that type of babyface character. And to me, Sammy can't go like that no more. Sammy's not that no more to me.
Oh shit, there we are again. All right. Let's go before someone breaks into my house.
Ricochet, I think he should stay. Ricochet should be on Raw. He's a Raw guy. I think Ricochet is a Raw guy.
I'm going to agree with you. I think Ricochet's a Raw guy. Yeah. Alistair's a SmackDown guy. I could see Ricochet, invading the Intercontinental title scene and possibly even being a tag team auxiliary player and maybe even going for, flirting with the Universal Championship once that gets off Brock. I could see Alistair Black and Daniel Bryan easily.
Easily, yes.
I can see it easily. It just makes sense. It just is
SummerSlam.
Something along those lines. I could just see 1, 2, 3. In terms of DIY, if they stick together, I'm saying Monday Night Raw. If they're not together, I'm probably going to go the other way, which is Gargano on SmackDown and Ciampa on Raw. But I think they both could be on Raw. SmackDown doesn't need anybody. They can barely fit in what they have. SmackDown doesn't need anybody, I think. Raw more needs the bodies because what they have sucks.
Is that a different alarm? That is nuts.
I think it must be 2 cars next to each other.
Back through SmackDown, Mandy versus Asuka. It looks to be Asuka's either long-term program into Mania or her program going into Fastlane.
I hope not, but
Oh my God, Asuka lost on TV. Oh my God.
The way things happen now is just now I expect Asuka to lose the belt. I just do.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. Like, I just expect her to lose the belt. I expect them to go into the Elimination Chamber.
I don't think you have her beat Becky to do that, to have her have a reign like that. No, I don't think you do that. I think there's still some juice in that reign. They're just so worried about Becky, Charlotte, Ronda right now. And rightfully so.
I just,
she's not going to lose the belt.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to lose the belt. Chill out. You're fine. She's going to be fine.
All right. Well,
and she's not going to lose it at peasy ass Fastlane.
Well, you never know.
She's going to be fine.
You never know. All right.
Have some faith. Have some faith in them.
I would like to, but
All right. The road to WrestleMania goes through Fastlane, of course, and the WWE title match for Fastlane for SmackDown is Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. I've had a lot of words about this. I've had a lot of feelings about this.
Yes, you have.
Allow me to clarify what I'm saying.
Yeah, please do.
You know, Meals, that I am not saying I don't want Kofi Kingston to win. You know this, right?
You
know I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't want Kofi to win the title at some point. I do know that there is no way that he's winning the title, having a 1 month reign, losing it, and that there is a way that anyone is okay with that. No. I wouldn't be okay with that. I think that a lot of the outrage and fear and all that stuff is coming from a very, very like wrestling, the social discourse on wrestling on the internet at least is so like there is no middle ground. There's either extreme dislike or extreme love, and like extreme support or extremely we're not fucking with you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you see it with like the Forgotten Sons. People call them the MAGA Sons. These guys have never done anything to even let you think that they were racist. That's just literally their characters. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's shit like that. It's like it's either one way or the other way. The Kofi thing to me is like I understand building up these people and making you believe in this one character who's been around for a very long time. That's a great and harrowing story. It's becoming where it's like, man, if you don't give him the title, then everything's fucked up. Nothing is right anymore. If he doesn't win the title here, nothing's right anymore. If he doesn't win the title at Fastlane to go to the Mania with the title, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. And it's starting to become sinister to a point where it's like, I feel like people are going to start to twist it in a way that WWE isn't meaning them to twist it in if he doesn't win this title at Fastlane. I don't think he's going to, but I feel like if they do, you know what the narrative is going to be. Mm-hmm. You already know what they're going to pull out. And the thing that's funny is that someone even said this on Twitter. This is full circle. Like he's going against Daniel Bryan. Y'all love him. So you're going to go against him too? Like it's like, I know that we're at the cusp of something great. There are so many African-American superstars on that level that deserve an opportunity and that are getting an opportunity. I think with Kofi, I don't think right now it's going to happen. And I think that people should curb on both ends, curb their expectations for what it is. He's going to have a fucking excellent match. It's going to make the New Day look great. And he's going to get the title down the road. I would honestly say do it at Money in the Bank and have him win it there. But not now. Not at all. I just think that there's a lot of, this isn't me like being like contrarian about it. It's like people are being so up in arms about this shit. It's just like, y'all didn't give a fuck a month ago. If you keep it 100, it would have been Mustafa Ali in this position. Then what?
I'll say this in terms of just in response to that. I think a lot of what Kofi Kingston represents is kind of how we used to sort of view wrestling as kids. And it is someone who we feel has deserved, someone who we feel has fought, and someone who is finally getting the opportunity. And we would no matter what, we're not even thinking of storylines anymore. We're not even thinking of the meta aspect of it. We just want him to win. And we just want him to just, and I'm not talking to y'all. Well, I understand, but it's in terms of that, I just want to continue and just say, I think everyone is caught up in just the wave of momentum. I mean, you look at Kofi Kingston's career for the past decade and change. I mean, the man, this is his first one-on-one opportunity for the championship, I think ever. I know it's definitely on a pay-per-view, but it may be ever. So this is someone who's been, who has been a major player and who has garnered the support. I mean, the man, it's not like the man has ever fallen off crazy. He's been popular for the last decade. And this is somewhere where people see it. A lot of fans see it. A lot of fans are whipped up in it. And it's not just black fans, because I heard the entire New Orleans kind of going up for Kofi Kingston. So I can't just say like, it's just black fans who wants to see another black champion. I think this is fans just in general caught up in the whirlwind of it all. And it's the same whirlwind that Daniel Bryan was caught up in. It's the same whirlwind that Becky Lynch was caught up in. It's the same whirlwind as that. People, same as Eddie Guerrero, same as a lot of different things that we kind of experienced over the last few years, where they kind of got this natural, organic rise. And you have this contender that we haven't seen before. I mean, this could have very well, this very well could have been AJ versus this is
him having it for a month. You're not going to be okay with that.
I don't really care. I'll be honest with them. I'll be honest with you. If he won, I'm excited. If he loses, I get it. But at the same time, if you asking me who do I want to win at Fastlane, I want Kofi Kingston to win. That's what I do. Deep down in my heart, I want him to win. I know it's just like beyond the fact it's like, oh yeah, it could be over in a month. Oh, it could be over the next night. I've watched Christian, who I wanted to become champion, win the championship and literally lose it 5 days later. And that's just the name of the game. But I think the moment that people look forward to is that moment where Kofi Kingston wins, or at least being able to visualize it without it kind of being cluttered. Because you know what? Wrestling fans are going to be mad anyway. I 100% agree with you on that aspect. They're going to be mad anyway.
They're going to make it. They're going to make the narrative, man.
They're going to make the narrative. I 100% agree with you. But I think genuinely, people want to see Kofi Kingston win. And they understand. I think they understand that maybe it's not his time to win. And I don't think people will be completely outraged if he doesn't win in a sort of Daniel Bryan fashion. I don't. I think people will understand it because once again, it's Kofi Kingston. He's not fully, adjusted to the main event. He's having this sort of whirlwind Cinderella fairy tale kind of run right now. And it's going amazing for him. I agree with you. If it happened later months, it can still be great. If you manage to sustain Kofi Kingston for the next 5 to 6 months and he wins the championship, that will be an earned championship. And I think everyone will go up for it even more than if he did at Fastlane.
I don't think that we should be settled on him winning it at a B show.
I don't think it's settling because it's just people want him to win. How many opportunities do you get? Like literally, how many opportunities do you get? You're not going to get this opportunity. This could have very well been Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. And I'm sure it would have been. Or at least I would have.
If so, I didn't have to hear this discourse. I would have fucking rather it be.
We would have complained about. We would have complained about that though. I love the opportunity that Kofi Kingston's getting right now because it's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and these are guys that you just want to see win. It's not even more about like who deserves it or what storyline this ends up being. It's more about the guys who deserve it and seeing them win. It's the feeling that people got when and we talk about this on the NXT today. Velveteen Dream won the North American Championship. People who you just want to see win, who deserve to win. That's kind of what the feeling is. It's really just a feeling. And I think that's the most beautiful part about all of this to me, because it's not something that's been cultivated. It's not something where he's been positioned. And it's just like, well, AJ Styles is this month and they're setting up for Aleister down the day and This is something completely organic. This is something that came out of nowhere because 2 weeks ago, you're right, it wouldn't have been Kofi. It would have been a Mustafa Ali. But guess what? It's Kofi and people are loving it. That's what I love most about this. So I want Kofi to win. I'll just say it. I want Kofi to win at Fastlane. If he doesn't win, it's not the end of the world. But I would love if he won. I'm just saying that. I agree.
Sure. That was.
Oh wow, so dismissive.
That was. I really don't. It's. Tiring.
I understand what you. I understand what you're going. What you're saying.
It's tiring. It's like, come on.
Just let people be kids again, bro. That's what I'm saying. Let people be kids again. Let people be caught up in professional wrestling in the way they haven't before, and the way you can't really be now because of the internet. But I also, and this is me, just because I'm just so I understand all points of view on most things. This is me. WWE gearing up for, but if he doesn't win, it's still racism and no blacks have been WWE champion and blah blah blah. Like it's still that I can see that coming, but at the same time, it's like
but without seeing Ricochet being positioned to be the next top star on the shows, and it's honestly like frustrating. I feel like people don't see where I'm coming from. That's what's the frustrating.
I feel like people are caught up in just the feeling of it all. That's what I'm saying. People are caught up in being kids again and just cheering for people and cheering on a bachelor league without having to, think of some ulterior motive of what this sets up for and who does this and why this doesn't work for Mania and things like that. And I think WWE's capitalizing on that, quite honestly. And I think they're good for capitalizing on it because this also could have been Kofi Mania. I mean, whether it happens at WrestleMania or not,
it's still good. It's still good for the world.
It's still good. It's still good. And I think, honestly, if it doesn't happen at WrestleMania, it might still help his cause for later down the line.
Exactly what I'm saying. So yeah, that was a huge week in wrestling and a wonderful first episode on our new channel.
Few things. First of all,
oh wait, okay.
205 Live, another tournament.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that show in a month.
I watched it last night. I watched Mike Kanellis.
Another AEW watch.
AEW watch provocateur. Go have a pretty good match with Cedric. Quite honestly, I'll give that all to Cedric.
Did he win? Did he win?
No, he didn't win. No, of course not. What would he win with? Does he have a finishing move? Like, what does he end matches with? But it was a pretty good match. I would actually say it's probably the best Mike Kanellis match I've ever seen.
Good on him.
But yes, they're going to have another tournament to determine who's going to face what's his face at Buddy Murphy at WrestleMania. So 205 Live gets hard on for tournaments, man. That's their thing. That's their bread and butter. And also NXT mentioned it just a couple minutes ago. Velveteen Dream, new North American champion. So maybe we can stop that awkwardness with Johnny Gargano carrying it everywhere.
I think this will actually make his main roster storyline and the storyline they're building even better if they continue to have these guys team. I do love what you guys can go see the spoilers. You know where to find the spoilers at. But I do like
spoilers are fantastic.
I think this is going to be a fantastic 7 weeks on NXT, and I'd say that you should start watching. Well, I mean, these tapings are still really good, and they're still going on. But yeah, continue to watch NXT. I think it's whenever it's Mania season, that's when the shows get really good. And
the spoilers are fantastic, man.
Yeah,
everything except that Pat guy joining the broadcast team. I am not for that.
I gotta hear it. Gotta hear it first.
No, I can do without that.
No, you're right. You're right. Fuck him. Yeah, that is episode 70 of the A Show. Check us out at RNC Radio Live for all of the latest and greatest on this show. As always, follow us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Play, and Stitcher as well. Make sure that you leave a subscription and leave a comment and rate us on iTunes. We need to know what you guys like. We got to know.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, we should have said this at the beginning of the show, definitely. But please subscribe and share and like, at least so we can sort of bump up the show. So when people search for it, they can at least say like, oh, that's A Show, because right now, we're new, we're brand new, we're fresh out the thing. You can't really search for something. You kind of have to have the link. So please do share that link. Please let people know. 5 stars, subscribe, all that other stuff. We're bringing you the amazing content on the way to WrestleMania. We're going to have the Mark Madness coming up next month. We're going to have Kazim here next month talking to us. We're going to have WrestleMania coming up. We're going to have a whole bunch of different things. There's spot callers coming up next month, like this month.
Oh, actually, spot callers is dropping next week. So spot callers, Stardom.
Bada boom, baby. Come on, talk about it. So we got all that coming on the A Show feed. So talk about it.
And this week on RNC, in specific, we have the 1-year anniversary of RSBN with Mark and Jeff. Very proud of these guys. Very, very proud. And it's an excellent show as well. We also
shout out to AMP. Yeah.
Shout out to AMP. Yes. We also, speaking of AMP, RAOP Gaming, that episode's going crazy with reviews on Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2. We also have the Perfect Play podcast dropping this Friday. We have late fees. Holy shit, Meals. Me and you have already talked this week.
Yes. So we have late fees coming up. If you like the way me and Justin talk to each other, you can listen to us talk to each other on the late fees, because this week we had a special crossover episode. You looked at the Lookout earlier this week, and we have Fifi from the Cable Box and late fees. This Friday we will have late fees, which will be talking about the infamous movie Dragon Ball Evolution with myself and Jeff, members of the Lookout, dropping in to talk with Cam, Pat, and yourself on just what the hell that movie was and why did it exist.
It's a hilarious episode. I was listening to it today, and we also do some really great fantasy booking on a potential new Dragon Ball Z live action movie. So you do not want to miss what we think was going to happen. And who do you think? You'll never believe who you think is going to side with Disney here. You'll never guess. You'll never guess. We also have 2 belts this weekend, right, Reels?
Yes, you have 2 belts this weekend. We got a lot coming up. We got new Offset album. We have a new lot of things. New 2 Chainz announced his album. We're going to talk about a lot of rap this week. So stay wrapped up. Stay 2 belts. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then that wraps us up for this week. Once again, thank you for listening to the A Show. Make sure you follow us again, subscribe, everything, all of that shit. We'll see you next week on a new episode of the A Show. Until next time, peace.
I don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah, it's I mean, Reset Day seems to be a little dead now. You got to find a new sign off. Just do one more.
To be continued. To be continued. That's what I'll say.
The sign off should be Bad Bunny.
Well, now you're stealing my sound out. All right. Well,
all right. We'll figure it out. All right. Till next time.
Square up. Subscribe with square up. How about that? Subscribe with square up.
I like that. Subscribe with square up, people. Peace out.